Hi there. I've just spent the past, I'm going to say, 3 hours listening to every Five Finger Death Punch album just to get kind of like an opinion on them because I haven't fully listened to Five Finger Death Punch since I was in high school, back in my freshman year of like 2011. So it's been a while. It's been a bit. And wow, was that a trip. Listening to nothing but Five Finger Death Punch. I skipped a lot of tracks, and I will not lie about that, like at all. I will not, like, be dishonest about that. I skipped a lot of tracks on that out, like a lot of the albums. A lot of the albums. And there were like 8 albums. 8 of them. And, like, it really dips in quality after a while. It, like, really does. Like, for reference, I've been on Rate Your Music, and I've been rating them on there. And that's how I've been kind of like doing my deep dive a bit. Like I've deep dived and I've done all of them. I've done like all 8. And again, I skipped a lot of them. I will not sit there and say I listened to every single track on every single album. I did not. Uh, and like genuinely, I think the first 2 albums are really good. And while I don't really fully agree with the political message of Five Finger Death Punch, I can still get some enjoyment out of who they are. To give kind of a brief thing, I'm not going to argue politics in the comments, but I'm I'm not anti-troop. I think the troops are very brave people, and I support them dearly. I'm just anti-war, and I'm anti-American military. Simple as that. I don't. Again, I don't want to argue it. I'm not planning on arguing it. If you have a differing opinion, that's good for you. But obviously that ties into a lot of the early work. I noticed they kind of drifted away from that for like a while. Like the other albums just don't. Like the first 2 are so deep, heavy into like military. That's like the big motif of the entire thing is just military. That's cool. That's fine. I'm down with that. That's completely acceptable. And they're good albums. I think both for like meathead dude bro metal were both good. I think they're both solid. Like they're 3 out of 5. That's okay. That's a 6. That's a 6 out of 10. That's pretty okay. American Capitalist comes in. It's alright. I think they get a bit weaker than it, but I still think it has a few like actual decent tracks on it. And honestly, if you wanted to sit there and tell me that you thought all of the songs sounded the same, honestly, after a while, I wouldn't blame you because that's how I felt after like that. I got into the other ones, which were the Wrong Side of Heaven Part 1 and 2. Both those existed, and like, did they need to be 2 albums? That's like my one big criticism with those 2 albums. Did they need to be 2 albums? Did they? Like, that was a lot of filler. That was a lot of nothing. Like I get it from the end of like the audience probably really enjoyed it. Like the fans probably really loved it. And that's cool. I hope they did. But from like an outsider looking in, God were they a slug. And like the covers. I like Ivan Moody. I think Ivan Moody is a great singer. I think while he's limited, his vocal range is not extensive. It's not. It's really not. But I think he's perfect in terms of the fact that like if you give him the tools to work with, I think the man can like do some good music. Like I think give him the tools necessary, it can work. Like with his limitations cuz he's got that deep voice, that deep raw voice. And I think that's what really like works with Five Finger Death Punch is that rawness. And that's what I really liked about the first 2 albums is I felt that they were raw. They were metal. They were grungy. They were good. I liked them because I don't know, just benefited. And then after that, it just kind of became obviously they're going to become more popular. They're going to have a more polished sound, and that's where like a lot of my enjoyment kind of ends. And I mean, if you still enjoy it, obviously go ahead. Um, and like my peak notice of like Ivan Moody being a good singer, well, I say good. I think he's okay. I'm not going to diss the man for like who he is. I have no problems with Ivan Moody as a person. He's in The Devil's Carnival, the first movie that came out in I think 2013, 2015, somewhere around those lines. And he did Penny for a Tale, and I think he did a good job. I think he did a fine job in that scenario. And I think it's cool that he did that. And like it really worked. I thought that genre really worked. So he can work with other genres. And like I genuinely think he could probably do like a decent cover of a House of the Rising Sun. I think he can do a good cover of that. But the cover he did end up releasing, it was terrible. It was just bad. And I mean that in the sense of like loving the original song like I do. I think that the version he ended up creating just doesn't work. Like the song just doesn't work with the sound that they're trying to go for. And I think that really hurts the song. And again, I think like give him some acoustics. I think Ivan could work with it. I think Ivan could do a good job, and I'm not doubting that in a second. Um, and then after those albums, they get kind of into Got Your Six and Justice for None, and those two albums are like their peak Grim Reaper t-shirts. And that's like the only way I could like really describe those two. They're so bland and nothing. They're so nothing. They're so nothing. And like ah gosh. It's genuinely like it's the peak transition of like, okay, we're for the military. Our audience is the military. And now it's like drunk forklift driver dads. Like that's the audience I get out of those two albums. And again, if the audience enjoys it, that's cool. I'm cool with that. But like, my enjoyment has gone drastically down at that point, and it became so tedious. It became so tedious and just I lost interest. I lost pure interest. I'll still listen to the first two albums. Now he did drop the F slur, which is, I mean, call me a snowflake all you want, but just like it just, it was 2007, I think. It's still kind of yikesy, but I don't really care. It's been 13 years. I really don't care. Like, I'm not gonna cancel the man over like a 13-year-old slur, but I'm not going to enjoy the song. That's just me personally. And then finally was F8, and I tried listening to it. I got like 2 tracks in. I gave up. I just lost all interest. And I don't know. I just don't find myself attempting future albums. I do hope that they improve. I hope that they get into like a good groove with it all. I hope they do better. And like I'm really rooting for them. I really am because I think they can do good. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't know what I'll do next, but I'll see you then. Toodles.